Picture this. You're scrolling through vacation destinations online, dreaming of your next adventure, when suddenly you stumble across a place that makes Detroit look like Disney World.
Yeah, that's not a typo.
Some corners of our planet are so dangerous that the U.S. State Department basically puts up a giant digital stop sign with flashing neon lights that scream, "Turn around and go home." Today we're diving into the 10 countries where Americans face the highest risk of becoming headlines for all the wrong reasons. These aren't your typical travel warnings about pickpockets or overpriced tourist traps. We're talking about places where the State Department issues level 4 advisories, which is diplomatic speak for pack your bags and head literally anywhere else on Earth. The State Department updates their travel advisory system every few weeks, ranking countries on a color-coded scale from blue to red. Blue means exercise normal precautions, like remembering to tip your waiter. Red means do not travel here under any circumstances unless you have a death wish and excellent life insurance. Today's countdown features the brightest red flags on the planet. Starting at number 10, we have Syria. If you're planning a vacation to Syria, you might want to reconsider unless you've recently discovered you're immune to bullets. This country has been trapped in a multi-sided civil war for nearly a decade, which means when gunfire breaks out, you won't even know which faction is trying to eliminate you. The State Department's warning reads like a horror movie synopsis. No part of Syria is safe from violence, kidnappings, chemical warfare, and aerial bombardment. The infrastructure has been so thoroughly destroyed that finding running water is harder than finding peace talks that actually work. Number 9 brings us to Burkina Faso. And no, that's not a made-up name from a geography textbook prank. This West African nation sits between Mali and Ghana, home to about 20 million people where nearly everyone lives below the poverty line. Terrorists here don't bother with advanced scheduling. They strike without warning at hotels, restaurants, police stations, schools, and basically anywhere humans gather. Kidnappings happen so frequently that hostage rescue operations have become a regular government activity. The country maintains a permanent state of emergency across most of its territory, which should tell you everything about how stable this place is. South Sudan takes the 8th spot, and their airport situation alone should be enough to keep you away. The restroom facilities consist of a tent placed over a trench that gets relocated monthly when things get too unpleasant. That's their airport, folks. The rest of the country doesn't improve much from there. Violent crimes, including carjackings, shootings, and kidnappings, happen as regularly as sunrise. Armed conflicts rage between various political and ethnic groups, while weapons flow freely among the population. Even journalism is treated as a criminal activity here, with reporters facing harassment and worse while trying to cover the ongoing chaos. Yemen claims the 7th position on our list of places to avoid. This Arabian Peninsula country has been locked in civil conflict since the Arab Spring reached their borders in early 2011. What started as protests against unemployment and corruption exploded into full-scale warfare when police snipers opened fire on democracy demonstrators. The U.S. Embassy shut down completely in 2015, meaning if you get into trouble there, you're completely on your own. Terrorist groups operate freely, targeting transportation hubs and public spaces. Add landmines scattered across the landscape and a cholera outbreak with limited medical supplies, and you have a perfect storm of danger. Venezuela lands at number 6, and relations with the United States have deteriorated so badly that all diplomatic personnel were withdrawn from the embassy in Caracas. The country faces severe shortages of food, electricity, water, and medicine. Political demonstrations erupt without notice and often turn violent when security forces respond with tear gas, water cannons, and rubber bullets. The economic collapse has been so severe that basic survival has become a daily struggle for millions of citizens. Mali earns the 5th spot on our danger list. This landlocked African nation is home to the legendary city of Timbuktu, which sits at the edge of the Sahara Desert. While that might sound exotic, the reality involves frequent terrorist attacks, armed robberies, and kidnappings. Corrupt police checkpoints and roadblocks are scattered throughout the country like tourist traps, except these traps might actually trap you permanently. The Federal Aviation Administration has restricted flights to Mali, making it difficult to even reach this dangerous destination. Iraq takes 4th place, and this might surprise absolutely no one who has followed international news for the past 2 decades. The State Department warns that it was actually safer during active military operations than it is now. Terrorist and insurgent groups operate freely, targeting both Iraqi security forces and civilians with improvised explosive devices. Anti-American militias specifically threaten U.S. citizens and Western businesses. The embassy suspended public services after an Iranian-backed terrorist attack damaged the compound. American citizens are explicitly warned not to cross into Syria to join any armed conflicts, as this could result in prison sentences up to 10 years. At number 3 sits a country that everyone knows about due to recent global health concerns. Travel restrictions have been implemented due to a rapidly spreading illness that originated there in late 2019. Commercial airlines have suspended or severely reduced flights, potentially stranding travelers who manage to arrive. The World Health Organization declared the outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. Americans currently in the country are advised to remain home as much as possible and stockpile supplies in case the situation deteriorates further.
Iran secures the second position on our countdown.
Tensions between Iran and the United States have remained high for decades, and recent military actions have made the situation significantly worse. Americans visiting Iran face extremely high risks of kidnapping and arbitrary arrests. Iranian authorities routinely detain U.S. citizens on fabricated charges, including espionage and threatening national security. Dual Iranian-American citizens face particular scrutiny and are consistently denied consular access. The Iranian government has a long history of using detained Americans as bargaining chips in diplomatic negotiations. Finally, at number 1, we have Haiti. This Caribbean nation has experienced complete governmental breakdown in recent years. Natural disasters, including devastating earthquakes and hurricanes, have destroyed much of the infrastructure, while criminal organizations have filled the power vacuum. Kidnapping has become so widespread and sophisticated that criminal groups conduct detailed surveillance before striking. Demonstrations and roadblocks happen unpredictably and often turn violent. Local police lack the resources to respond effectively to serious crimes. The situation has become so dangerous that even travelers leaving the international airport face immediate risks of violent robbery and assault. The emergency response system throughout Haiti has essentially collapsed, with ambulance services being either limited or completely non-existent. Carjackers specifically target vehicles stuck in traffic congestion, often focusing on lone drivers, particularly women traveling alone. The U.S. Embassy requires all personnel to use official transportation when traveling to and from the airport due to security concerns. These 10 countries represent the most dangerous destinations for Americans according to current State Department advisories. The common threads running through all these locations include active terrorism, widespread kidnapping, governmental collapse, ongoing armed conflicts, and the absence of effective emergency services. What makes these places particularly hazardous for Americans is the combination of anti-Western sentiment, criminal organizations specifically targeting foreign nationals, and the inability of U.S. diplomatic missions to provide meaningful assistance. The Level 4 travel advisory system exists for good reason. When experienced diplomats and security professionals recommend avoiding entire countries, that recommendation comes from extensive intelligence gathering and risk assessment. These warnings aren't issued lightly or for minor inconveniences like expensive hotels or mediocre restaurants. For travelers seeking adventure and unique experiences, the world offers countless safer alternatives that provide cultural enrichment without life-threatening risks. The countries on this list will hopefully improve their security situations over time, but until substantial changes occur, they remain firmly in the category of destinations to avoid. Remember that travel advisories can change rapidly as political and security situations evolve. Always check current State Department warnings before planning any international travel, even to traditionally safe destinations. Your safety is worth more than any bucket list destination, and the world has plenty of amazing places that won't require a will update before departure.